The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our second of our FP Ambassador webinar series. I'm going to give everyone a couple more minutes just to log in. I still see some people slowly trickling in, so we'll be getting started in just a couple minutes. Thank you. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Here in September, I don't know where everyone is in the world, but it's starting to turn into fall here in Vancouver, which we're definitely excited about. So again, this is the second one of our FP Ambassador series, and we are lucky enough to have one of our lovely customers, and I like to think of as partners, Firefly Partners here, joining us today. So I'm going to actually start. Oh, the session is being recorded. I think Natasha jumped ahead of me on that. Thank you so much, Natasha. Great. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. We are really excited to be talking about our topics today and getting some insight directly from customers on how they work with remote workers, and that's a really big topic kind of going around right now, just in regards to like freelancers and remote workers, and getting this insight from our partner here from Firefly Partners, Jen Maceyko. So my name is Sophia Wilson. Actually, we needed to change my title there. I've recently become the Customer Success Team Lead here at Function Point. So all of the elevated things usually come to me, but I've been working with our customers for about 5 years now, which is one of my favorite things. But what our goal here is to make productivity more personable and warm it up and give it a heartbeat here at FP. So we love talking productivity and how we can make you and your team as productive as possible. But, of course, we have to talk about Function Point as well. Our mission for the last 20 years has been to help creative teams in modern organizations be more productive and, of course, profitable with that by providing best-in-class project management software. So as many of you that are joining us today have used us, we have both the project management as well as all the financials in there as well. So it's always it's fun to dig in and work with your workflows as on the days to days. All right. And then, of course, we have Jen Maceyko here with me today from Firefly Partners. And of course, my screens are going down just as this is all starting right now. Sorry, everyone, just having some technical difficulties. But Jen, maybe I can give this as an opportunity for you to give me a little description on yourself and Firefly Partners and your background and your current role there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everybody. So I'm Jen Maceyko. And so Firefly Partners, I will start with us. We're a digital agency that provides strategic marketing, design, and development services to progressive nonprofits in the United States and Canada. So that means that we bring our expertise, whole wide range of expertise of our team to accomplishing the goals that nonprofits have set for themselves, whether that's through their website or their marketing tools. I'm the managing director here at Firefly. For about 6 years, I was in a client-facing role as a project manager and director of client services. But now I'm actually in a more business-focused role, really aimed at making the back of house operations as efficient for our team and our company as possible. So not as client facing anymore, but it really is my job to make sure that things are running smoothly so that the rest of the team can actually do great work and provide good customer service to everybody that we work with. I always try and remind myself that if our internal systems aren't working well, then it's going to have ripple effects on our clients, and we don't want those ripple effects. So that's my role here at Firefly, and what we do as a company.
That's awesome. So we've got some great photos here of you and your team, and as I was saying earlier, your team works almost completely remotely, so it's great when you're able to bring everyone together. How would you best describe your day-to-day and what your favorite aspects of working for not-for-profit organizations is?
Yeah, no day is the same is probably the easiest answer to that. We're a small distributed team. We're 15 folks. So I wear a few hats every day. I might be planning an onboarding process for a new hire, or jumping over to run and review financial reports, or sharing passwords with a project team, sending invoices to a client. Pretty much anything could show up on my plate any day. But like I said, it all goes to supporting our team, which in turn benefits our clients. And I think, I love these pictures because in all of these pictures, it's our team members with clients in different places. So one of them is at a conference with our clients. One of them is the one in the center is doing a on-site visit. And then the one on the right-hand side is actually one of our team members who did a 5K race and ran into a whole representative group from our clients. Oh,
that's amazing. I love that.
Pictures of our team out in the world. But I think the thing that I love most about working with our nonprofit clients is being able to support causes that I feel strongly about. We work with organizations like Center for Reproductive Rights and San Francisco LGBT Center, Human Rights Watch, PEP Partners, and they're all the same organizations that I support with my personal dollars and my own time. So that's really something that gets me up in the morning, and I honestly think that extends to everyone on our team.
That's amazing. It's one of those, if you find you do what you love, you won't work a day in your life. So that's amazing when you can really work for those things that you believe in. Cool. Awesome. So, key projects and team initiatives. What has been a highlight for 28 for you? Maybe, a specific project or something that you and your team have been working on.
Yeah. I think as a remote team, one of the biggest things that we're always trying to work out is how to get people FaceTime with each other. And so my sort of highlight for this year really happened in January, like almost immediately at the start of 2018. So every year we bring together everyone for a staff retreat. We were down in Austin, Texas this past January, and we focused a lot of our time on what we wanted to accomplish as a company and as a team this year at that retreat. And across the board, not just at a leadership level, but really in all areas of our company, we agreed that 2018 was going to be the year that we documented our processes, actually write things down. And so, they say 20% of your activities actually account for like 80% of the results that you see. So we're making time this year to document our most common company practices and the activities that we do on a day-to-day basis to get us results. And so it's been really exciting to see, that was back in January, we're in September now. But our team, really everyone on the team has embraced this as an initiative, and we're determining as a group what our core processes are, who wants to really own documenting those and being able to communicate those messages out and walk it forward. So it's, it was something that we started in January, sitting in a room together as a distributed team, all coming together in the same place. And then, even 9 months later, we're sort of breaking it down into quarters, and people are tackling these different pieces so that by the time we get to the end of the year, we really know and can standardize the core things that we do here as a business.
That's amazing. Just out of curiosity, where's the retreat coming up in the next few months? I guess you must be planning that already.
I am, and we've narrowed our short list because nobody wants to go anywhere cold in January for a staff retreat. So Austin is on the list again because of its lovely southern weather in January, but we're also thinking about maybe New Orleans this year. So,
Fun. Maybe I'll need to come crash that if you guys go there.
We'll have a partner retreat. We'll tack it on. Absolutely.
I love it. You guys probably need some additional function point training, so I should definitely come. Awesome. So how would you best describe Firefly's corporate culture, and how is that culture promoted internally?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. It's one of those things that really is sort of an ongoing effort, right? I mean, we work really hard to make sure that our company values show up in the work that we do every day. So our team members do the right thing by our clients and by each other. Everyone has to bring a real sense of curiosity to what we do because we work in technology and it changes every day. Everyone is expected to really bring their authentic selves, the good, the bad, and everything to work every day. And then we're committed to producing high quality work for our clients. So, we work, like I said, we work really hard to actually bring those values into work every day and recognize when people are demonstrating them in their day-to-day work. And, one of the best ways to enable giving people the space to actually do those things, to be those people that our team members are, is to find some balance with work and life. And for us, honestly, like work-life balance can be a bit of a buzzword, or people are a little over it. But for us, I think we recognize that work-life balance doesn't mean that it's always 50-50. It means some work weeks will be busier, some weeks your personal life needs a lot more from you than you planned. And so what we do here, especially as leaders, but really as colleagues to each other, is to take a look at what people have on their plates. And if they've been over full for a couple of weeks, we can act on that. We bring in additional resources to a project or encourage them to take time off in slow periods to recharge. So we're actually proactive about, we have a little dip next week. Let's see if the folks that don't have a ton of work may want to take a long weekend. So giving them an opportunity and recognizing that there will be busy weeks and there will be slow weeks. So because I think the tricky thing for us, or sort of a challenge that we are always facing, is that as a distributed team, we can't necessarily see the stress on someone's face, or that they're trying to balance, that their childcare provider canceled on them, but they still came to work today. We can't always necessarily recognize that stuff. So in addition to having conversations with our team, we also just rely on the data that we have in a couple different places, but a lot of that is in Function Point, to make sure that people are staying engaged and embracing learning and doing the work that they can be proud of, and that they just have the time to do that when they're at work.
That's awesome. And I really do love how often it looks like you guys are able to get together. Again, another great team photo here with a completely distributed team.
This was our Austin, that was Austin retreat, and we did panic rooms. So there was a little bit of competition there, but.
Oh God, I don't think I could do a panic room. It's I would probably panic. It wouldn't be good. Awesome, cool. As you're aware, and then quite a few of our customers and those participating today are aware, FP did recently conduct an industry report on agency productivity, and we found that 80% of the agencies that we spoke with are using technology to help teams work remotely, and 78% did say that these tools have increased both their team's productivity and billability. Just from your sort of perspective, what tools are you using, and what are the top 3 tips for running productive remote teams?
Yeah, not for nothing, Function Point is actually a big part of our team's day-to-day work and productivity. And really the key to that is that everyone's working in the same system. So their time and their tasks and budget, everything's tied together. We know that everyone's looking at the same information when they're making decisions for the client or the company. So having just a foundational system where all of our project information is stored is a really important piece, because it means that people aren't going and having to dig for information. They can simply look at the same picture that everyone else is looking at and make good decisions. The second one is actually that we use Slack as our chat tool of choice. I always say that and get tongue twisted, but we have, so we're using that constantly. We have internal channels for business and for fun stuff, and we have project channels that allow project teams to share information and hash out details and stay on the same page. So that's actually been a big one for us. And I'll say that Slack, just from the social channels that we have in there, also just give our team, being remote, kind of that water cooler opportunity. I just had to spin off into a channel fantasy football because football season has started in the US, and so it was overwhelming things. We moved that off into a separate space, but those social channels that we have been really great in just sort of building trust and teamwork and friendship amongst our team members. And then the third thing that's really valuable to us, and we've only rolled this out honestly in the last couple of months, is we're doing a lot more video calls now. And so Zoom has worked really nicely for us in this case. For a long time, I'm not gonna lie, nobody loved getting up, having to take a shower and get presentable for video calls around our team. But it's really, again, it's another way, I think, as technology is changing, and we're looking for ways to just bring more personality into what we do every day. We decided to give video calls a try, and a lot of our team has really embraced them. They aren't really a requirement, but we're seeing a lot of folks just decide that that's the way that they want to communicate with others on the team, and that's been really heartwarming.
Yeah, there's definitely a benefit to seeing the whites of someone's eyes when you're discussing something. Something I also have to ask, do you find that the Giffy Wars get a little too much in Slack? I know that happens in our general chat all the time.
I'll say that our team is quite expert at finding just the right one. So we don't have wars. It's sort of someone finds the perfect one, and we all can just nod our heads and say, yep, that's how you sum up that conversation.
I love it. That's great. Cool. So what have been some of the key components that have been successful in ensuring that projects are delivered on time and on budget? And why do you find this to be so important for your clients? Obviously, things need to be delivered on time and on budget, but just from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I said this already, but Function Point's ability to just break everything down into the services that we provide and give team members the same insight, so that they're all looking at the same data is really important. The second thing that helps us just keep track of making sure that people aren't working too much and that they're actually like going home at night and living their lives is we have agreements about daily time entry, so that we can make sure that people have their own, have lives outside of work, but also because it really helps our PMs communicate budget status and to clients accurately. So a lot of, it's funny, a lot of agency folks I talk to are surprised that we can actually get our team to do daily time entry. But we've really normalized it as a practice, and that is, that's both sort of, it's working for our clients because it means that we've got accurate information on a day-by-day basis. We can make good decisions because we're not waiting for delayed data. But it also means that as leaders here, we're able to look and see how people are doing on their tasks and on their time, sort of balancing their time, and then help them and be proactive if we see question marks. And then I think, when it comes to, you asked about why it's important for our clients. I mean, it's good for us. It's great for us to be able to communicate accurate information. That's always key. But I also think, the nature of nonprofit clients is a lot of them may be either working within set department budgets or may have had their budget set 12 or 18 months ago during a strategic planning process, or even may have a very specific grant meant for the work that we're doing. And so, we respect the fact that if we need additional budget, our clients might have to go raise that money, or they may have to put a different project on hold to complete the one that we're working on. So while it's maybe not something that they recognize on a day-to-day basis, we really work to our estimates as close as possible because we understand what they're facing as nonprofit organizations if we have to come back to them and say, well, actually, what we told you 4 months ago isn't true. We need this new pot of money. So that's one of the ways it's really important to us, but it's because most of our team members, almost everyone, has worked in a nonprofit and has actually sat in that seat, knows that when you have to come up with more money, it limits what you can accomplish. So we're very respectful and sort of recognize that.
Yeah, it's certainly it's not an easy business, so I can certainly respect that. Awesome. So based on your experience at Firefly and working with progressive not-for-profits, what are your recommended best practices for ensuring effective communication with your clients?
Yeah, I think that there are really two aspects to this, or maybe just two things that I always keep in mind or come to mind for me first when I think about effective communication. I think the first one is something that Nancy Lyons said at a digital PM summit that I was at a few years ago. It really stuck with me, and it's very simple. It's deliver good news and bad news at the same pace, which you never want to deliver bad news, but it really comes down to communicating regularly. So a client isn't only hearing from you or getting an email when something's about to go wrong or is already broken. So, making sure that you are delivering good news and delivering bad news so that it just becomes normal communication rather than good news or bad news. That's a really big one, and to me it seems it's simple, and it's just a nice little bite-sized piece of advice that I carry with me. And then the second piece, and this is true for everybody, but again, it resonates with me because we are a remote team. We work with a lot of our clients over the phone, and that is that it really comes down to emotional intelligence. Good communication. And so it really is just about recognizing that the person on the other end of the phone or on the other side of a video call is a person. You don't know if their son had chicken pox this week. You don't know if their boss may have just delivered a really harsh critique of something they were working on. The project that you're participating in may have been their pet project, and they were really hoping that they could do the work themselves. You really don't know what's going on in another person's life all the time. And so I think the effective communication for me is really about understanding that people are living whole, full lives outside of the project that we're working on, and everyone is motivated in different ways. So that understanding and an ability to determine what's motivating people on a client team can go a really long way in easing communication. And if you start that early on in the process, building personal relationships, then it's going to help your communication, especially in the bad times. So you build up trust over time. You never want to have to tap into that well in a negative way, but in the bad times, if it's there, you know that you're going to have a more productive conversation and be able to share more openly and clearly with each other.
Yeah, that is so important. Awesome. Jen, it has been so amazing chatting with you today. And unfortunately, that is all the time we had sort of designated for this conversation. And again, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone that maybe is still listening in and hanging out with us today. If you do have any questions, please feel free to send them through. If Jen and I aren't able to answer them directly here on screen, we will be following up with you after the webinar to continue discussing. We did have kind of a couple of questions come through as we were sort of chatting there. So if you don't mind, Jen, I'm going to ask you just a couple of extra quick things. So when you were talking about time tracking and how you were able to normalize that within your team, this is something that even, I've been asked a million times. How did you create that normalcy within your team to have that kind of happen? I've even had customers try and lock people into the building to get them to do time tracking. So did you incentivize or sort of how were you able to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it definitely wasn't something that happened overnight. I think that the way that we really started to get people to understand why it was, like, we talked about why it was important, and not just that, like, it wasn't just a rule that we had. It wasn't a rule because it's something you have to do as part of your day-to-day work, that there's actually a reason behind it. And it really was about making sure that we could deliver the most accurate information to clients, and that we were honestly able to keep our promises. I mean, we were able to illustrate to our team a couple of ways where we got burned a little bit because, somebody hadn't entered their time. We made a promise about something we thought we could accomplish in the budget. Their time got booked, and all of a sudden, the thing that we said that we were going to be able to accomplish for a client was going to be a lot more difficult. And so when we started to share with the team and really help everyone understand that by entering your time, you're putting accurate data into the system, and it gives everybody the best information they can have to make good decisions, that's really where we started to see a behavior change.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really good words of wisdom for others out there. And just another kind of best practices question: what advice would you give to an agency that's just sort of starting to build out a remote team?
That's a good one. I think one of the biggest things is recognizing that people's communication styles are unique to individuals, and that you should take the time to actually ask people about their preferences, how they like to receive information. Do they prefer phone or video or chat? Even how they like to use their calendar. So it's asking people sort of about their preferences, because as you start to transition to remote, or you might add remote people to your team, you can't just pop into a cubicle, and you can't just necessarily pass someone in the hall. So thinking about the different tools that you can use and different questions that you can ask to make sure that you're sort of communicating with the remote employees in a way that works best for both sides, I think is really important, and something that I've seen overlooked in the past. So figuring out what people's communication preferences are, especially those remote employees, and being able to communicate back and forth those preferences is really important.
That's really good advice. Remote workers are becoming more and more of sort of the future as well, which is really cool. And then of course I have to ask, just being the FPer here, what Jen, is your favorite feature of Function Point? Like, what do you use most commonly?
I'm a little old school, and I actually really still use and love the resource link. Um, it gives me, honestly, like the perfect generalization of, you know, what people's availability and capacity is and just how full we are. I don't have to drill down task by task or see what the math necessarily adds up to. It just gives me I know what those red bars mean and I know what the green bars mean, and it's just a perfect snapshot for me. That's my favorite piece.
I know, and that's something you and I have talked about in the past, how you still love it. But as we continue to develop that, I'll definitely be involving you in some of our customer feedback so that the new tools can be built in a way that still help you. It's good to see some of that old stuff that that people still love to use. It's actually great. It does help us to know that we built something good not too long ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. Well, again, we are sort of at our end of our time. We're a couple minutes over. Again, if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to email our success team at success@functionpoint.com, or you can even tweet them directly to us using the hashtag FPWebinars, and we'll be sure to answer all of those. The recording today, it will be completed, and then it will be sent in our follow-up email to be able to watch on demand later. If you found that there was anything that you would actually like to share with maybe other colleagues or partners that you have within the industry, we'd love to have this shared around. Jen, thank you so much for spending the time with me today. I always enjoy chatting with you whenever we get the chance to get on the phone together. So it was really fun to collaborate with you on a cool project like this. So thank you again for your time as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for involving me.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we'll talk to you all soon.